What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 3 looks 1 palette featuring the Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights palette. This is what I would say in their collection is going to be kind of their rainbow pastel palette, at least for right now. This is what they have, and I really wanted to pick this up. I had previously only had one palette from them, which is their Muse palette, and I was very intrigued. I thought this was a beautiful color scheme. It really spoke to me, and that's a lot coming from somebody who's been pretty much wearing browns for months now. So yeah, in case you're interested in hearing a little bit more about this palette, of course, product details, swatches, and of course the 3 looks, let's just get into it. Alrighty, so as always, let's get into the details on this particular palette. I do believe it is the exact same price as all of the other palettes, which I believe is £23, but it ends up being about $40 to $50 in the US because of shipping. So please do keep that in mind. With this palette, you get 24-month shelf life. It is recyclable, I'm assuming, the packaging, and it is cruelty free. The net weight for this palette is 23 grams or 0.81 ounces. It is made in the PRC and it is distributed from Cosmic Brushes, which is a UK based brand in the event that you did not know. I'm trying to see, there is talc and mica and silica in the shadows, so do keep that in mind. They also do have 2 different ingredient type products in this particular palette. They have an eyeshadow formulation and they have a pressed pigment formulation. So in that pressed pigment formulation, there is talc and mica. There is some silica in that one as well. So definitely keep that in mind if you are sensitive to those types of products. They do have a sleeve that pretty much matches the palette, very similar to the other palette that I received, and all of that information that I talked about is on the back of the actual palette as well as on the back of the sleeve. So you can always feel free to throw away the sleeve, which I have already done with my other palette. The palettes do come with a very nice mirror, as you can see, and the mirror does have a film. I do believe there was like a little slip sheet over the shadows. I just automatically throw those away without thinking about it. And then of course, this is what the inside of the eyeshadow palette looks like. There are a lot of thoughts for me when it comes to this particular palette, and we will of course get to those at the end. This is look number 3 in the event that you are interested, but I think those are all of the product details and information I can give you. If I was incorrect with the pricing or anything like that, I would have had it flashing across the screen to give you guys the most accurate information. I always have the brands that I'm featuring in these 3 looks 1 palettes linked down below. And if you're interested in knowing any of the products that are on my face outside of course, this eyeshadow palette, I always have those products listed and linked down below in the description box as well. So with that said, let's just go ahead and jump into the swatches. Those will be done in an aerial shot with natural lighting in front of me and my ceiling light on top of me. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into that. And of course, you know we're going to do some comparisons with my other palettes. So let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so this is the close-up of the Delicious Delights palette from Cosmic Brushes. As I said, the palette's really pretty. You can see now the really interesting design in the Delights portion. Then of course, all of the information that I talked to you guys about before. And as I mentioned, everything is duplicated on the back of the palette and the exact same on the front. So you can definitely easily feel okay with getting rid of the actual cover because there's nothing really interesting there that's different. Then of course, like I said, you have that nice mirror, and then you have the 20 shades that they created to create this palette. Now, as I always like to do, I like to swatch row by row. I will of course be speeding that part up because it just takes forever to get this done in real life, but you can definitely see the color families. And yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and swatch row by row. quite a few different shades as I showed you guys. Really, really pretty. Now let's get into the comparisons. If I said, like I said before, if I'm looking at the actual pans, maybe we could say these two greens and these two like orangey tones, maybe, but truly they all look different to me. But let's do some comparison swatches. So first let's do the two greens. I'm just going to go back in so you guys can actually see. As you can see, this one is a lot more yellow based and this one is a lot more white based. I mean, there's truly no comparison there. And then let's do the two kind of orangey-ish tones. And as you can see, once again, this one is more white based and this one is more yellow based, truly showing that these are the more darker, more fall tones, and these are the more pastel versions of each other. Let me see if there's any other shades in person. Maybe these two, but these two look completely different to me. This one's more of a lavender, this one's more of a pink, this is like a softer pink. I truly don't see anything that is similar. Let's look at the shimmers now. Maybe these two, but these two look very different to me. This is a more hot pink, this is a lighter pink. In camera they look different, so I'm not gonna even bother. These two, they look kind of similar. Let's try it. So this is Frosting and Whisper. And as you can see, Frosting is just a lot more interesting. It has that silver glitter or silver shimmer running throughout it with that blue shimmer, and this one's just a lot more metallic and opaque and one-noted. So truly, I don't see any similarities between the two palettes, which I appreciate and love. And yeah, I think that's it for the comparisons and swatches portion of today's video. Let's just dive into the tutorials, because those tutorials, they're some bangers. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start off the tutorials now. You guys have already seen all of the swatches and all of that jazz. So first things first, I've already primed my eye with my favorite eyeshadow primer. The first shade is going to be the shade Zesty. It's this beautiful bright lime green in this corner, and I'm just going to be using the Smith 232 brush for a lot of my crease and transition work that I have for this particular look. Now, I mainly am just kind of trying to get a first coating in this inner half of my crease. Sometimes I swish around, other times I pat. It just kind of comes with the territory. Do whatever works best for you. And I am gonna kind of do small circular motions at the top of this color, just so that it blends in with my actual skin somewhat. It's not gonna be, you know, transparent or anything, but you can get things to slowly blend in. Okay, so that's that. Next, what I'm gonna do is just kind of halfway clean this on just a microfiber towel. I'm not worried about getting all of the color off. I just want a lot of that excess color off. Then same brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Lollipop, which is more of like a teal based color. And this is going to be my outer crease or transition color. So I'm gonna be putting this all out here. And once again, I'm going to be connecting it with that Zesty shade. And I have like an eyelash or something weird. I don't know what that is. Okay. And I'm just going to be connecting that to the Zesty shade. I also am going to kind of slightly wing out this outer portion. and of course blend as well. With this shade, I didn't stress over packing as much, but you definitely can pack the shade down first and then blend it out. It will make sure that your color is nice and opaque, and it will allow it to be easier for you to kind of get your crease done quicker as well. I'm then going to take the same brush, same shadow, and just go under my lower lash line, all the way to the inner, all the way to the out, to make sure that this area connects. And then the only other thing I do is I take this brush again, wipe it right off on that microfiber towel, and then lightly go into Zesty this time, just to make that blend nice and seamless. Sometimes I try to do this because I feel like, you know, the first shadow that I put in that crease area is not getting as much area. So definitely use this technique to make sure that your overall crease action and the transition of that ombre is what you actually want. When you're done and you feel satisfied, then I would pick up a smaller brush. I'm picking up my Sonia G Detail brush, that's all it says, and I'm gonna go into the shade Charms, which is this dark purple. It is the darkest shade in this palette, so most likely that's going to be the shade that I'm reaching for with all of these looks somehow, some way. And what I'm gonna do is, of course, make this my outer V shade, but also this is going to be going into pretty much my actual crease. So it's going to be doing a lot of work. And yeah, I'm just going to slowly build this up where I want it and slowly blend it out. Okay, so I am satisfied with where my crease is. I never try for my crease to be overly blended. I just like it to look somewhat seamless and blended. So there is that. I'm then going to take my finger and go into the shade Sparkles, or not Sparkles. This definitely says Sprinkles. This shade is actually a multi-chrome, which I did not know buying this palette going in, nothing like that. It is a green to purple multi-chrome, so it's not unknown and unheard of. It definitely is one of those shades that a lot of brands do, but it was a nice surprise in the middle of picking the shadow up. It's also a very smooth formula and quite metallic at the same time as well. So definitely not disappointed by that shadow, and I think that it blends beautifully into that purple, just as I kind of thought it was. What I like to do though is to take just a little bit more of that matte purple and just blend the outer portion. I really like to focus it on this outer edge because that's the edge that I tend to forget to blend a little bit more than I should. And then last thing for this look, I'm going to take a pencil brush and I'm going to go into the shade Delicious, which is this like white based dual chrome into a blue, and that is going to go in my inner corner. So yeah, that's pretty much the look. I'm just going to put on my liners, my mascara, and I am probably going to go ahead and throw on some lashes. I just figured I'd show you guys what this look looks like without lashes at the beginning. So yeah, give me 1 second. Let me just throw those things on and then I'll come back to show you guys my finished look. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. So yeah, like I said, this is the first finished look. I'm very happy with how it came out. I was really able to play with these greens up top with a splash of some of the other shades. I definitely want to at least do maybe one pinky purple look and then maybe one blue look. So definitely stay tuned. This is going to definitely be a 3 looks 1 palette. And yeah, I'll see you guys in just a second for look number 2. Okay guys, so I'm here to do look number 2 and I am stupid excited because I feel like I really got back to my roots a little bit doing the 3-toned crease. So what I like to do when I'm doing my three-toned creases is get a big fluffy brush. This one happens to be the Sigma E03, and I choose 3 light tones of the general color families that I want to use. So I'm gonna put Buttercream in my inner third, then I'm gonna use Marshmallow for my second third, and the last third that I'm going to use is the shade Milkshake. And literally what I'm doing is I'm just picking up enough product, I'm applying it to desired area to my desired pigmentation level. Of course, sometimes that differs based on the formulation, but this formulation is pretty pigmented, so there is that. I don't really worry ever about it blending too far down, but my worry can be that it's not blended enough up top. So that's what I would do, and I just work between the 3 tones, the 3 colors that I set up. If you find that your creases colors aren't blending together the way you want, what I recommend is taking a little bit of product from the 2 colors you're trying to blend and just going directly in the section that you want them to blend. That is generally how I get products to blend the way I want, or as I just did, you kind of just go over the 2 shades to make it work. What I will say, and then I will just focus on the blend, is that this step, although is important to have a nice foundation, it's not the end all be all. You can definitely mess up this step and still have a good crease action, especially if certain formulas, the lighter shades really either don't show up on you or they just kind of blend away. So keep all of that in mind. I'm just going to take my time and make sure that all of these shades are blended the way I want. Okay, the one thing I did forget to say is that I do have like a microfiber towel in my lap, and I like to clean the brush off typically in between each shade, unless I'm literally trying to blend certain shades together, or as I'm doing now, which is to just blend lightly around the edges. So once again, keep that in mind. The next brush that I went ahead and reached for is this. The Singe E05 is just a nice small blending brush, and I'm just going to build in the 3 color families that I've created the deeper shade that I want. So in the inner third is going to be Gingerbread, the middle third is going to be Smoothie, and then the outer third is going to be Jelly Bean. So I'm going to do the exact same principle I showed you guys before. The only difference is that I'm going to start these colors directly in my crease and try not to blend too high so that they don't actually get rid of the more transition color. As I've said countless times, I am not one of those people who sits here and tries to blend till kingdom comes. So you may see a little bit of patchiness from your side of things, but from my side of things, it looks perfectly fine. Then on my actual lid, I actually used 2 different shades. Had I known what I know now, I honestly would have just used the 1, but I did use 2, so we're going to use both as well. I used frosting on the majority of my lid, starting at that outer V closer to my inner third, and then that last inner third I used Candy Floss, which is the pink shimmer. I just prefer the frosting shade. It just looks pretty and prettier, honestly, than the other shade. And I also wanted to test these with a brush because the last time I used this particular palette, I know I used my finger with the shimmers. And this happens to be the Singe E01 brush. And if you're wondering, no, I still have yet to clean my brushes. Hence why I'm still using the Singe ones right now, but soon I will. And then what I'm going to do is just flip my brush over to the other side, and then we're going to go into that Candy Floss. All right, just a couple of finishing touches and then we are good to go. What I'm going to do for inner corner, I'm actually going to use the white shade in here, which is Whipped Cream. I wanted to see if this had like a green tint to it or if it's straight up white. So by using it on this look, I was really able to test that out. And then last but certainly not least, I'm taking the shade Charmed, which is that deepest purple, And I'm just creating a very small faux wing just to create a little bit more depth on that upper lash line. And then I'm also going to deepen out my lower lash line as well. So that's pretty much the look. I'm just going to hop off camera, put on my lashes, my mascara, my liner, all of that. And then I'll come back so you guys can see the full finished look. And yeah, this is the finished look. All right, so this is the second finished look, and I definitely have some thoughts. I can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts down below. As always, I have yet to do my swatches yet. I like to do those after I do my third look. And as I said in my first look, my third look is going to be all about this bottom row and all about the blues. So that will probably be happening tomorrow, and I will be aiming with all my gumption to get this video up on Wednesday of this week. So yeah, let's just go ahead and hop into look number 3. And then of course, at the end of my third and final look, I will then be giving you guys a current review on this product in comparison to what I know from this brand and just in general, how I feel about this palette. So let's continue on. Hey guys, so this is look number 3, and of course the final look for this particular video. If you're interested in more looks from me for this particular palette, of course just let me know. I always do extra looks off camera to get more opinions on particular palettes, but I try to aim to at least do 3 of them on camera. As I said the first day, today is going to be all about the blue row, and let's get into it. So I'm just going to continue to use these dirty singe brushes because I still have yet to clean my brushes. There will be a day. There will be a day when I do. But until then, I'm going to take the biggest one, which is the E03, and I am going to go into the shade Sweetie, which is this really pretty kind of pastel blue. And I am going to fluff that in my inner half of my crease, really bringing that up high and making sure that that color is going to stick out even after all of the blending of this look. This is going to be quite a simple look compared to yesterday, so definitely just keep that in mind. And I'm going to let it hang really high up. I don't want it to go too low. And I tend to blend up high and then check to make sure it's blending the way I want once my eye shape has kind of chilled out. There is that. And then what I'm going to do, same brush without wiping it off or anything, I'm going to go into the shade Ice Pop. And with this shade being a little bit deeper, I am just going to go ahead and start this shade lower in more in my actual crease. And I am going to connect it. But like I said, I'm going to start it off lower, and I'm not going to really aim to blend it up. I just want to blend out more or less the edges. I'm also going to kind of wing this out a little bit and connect to my lower lash line. Because this brush is so big and I was concerned that it was going to blend the shade up too much, I then reached for the Singe E05, and I'm just going to use this brush to just lightly blend. Oop, there's still product. I'm going to actually have to clean this off to make sure I don't get any of the other colors I used this brush on previously. All right, so now it's clean, and I'm just going to just blend that straight edge because I want this portion of my eye look to be a lot more structured. Just to cover up that dark shade, I'm just going to take a little bit of it and just kind of work that in. It doesn't matter if you go up a little bit, but this brush will ensure that you don't go up too high. Once again, if you have hooded eyes like me, let your eyes chill out in between your blend just to make sure that it's looking the way you want, because your eyes are going to look like this when you're walking around, not like this. Okay, same E05 brush. I'm gonna go into the shade Slushy, and I just wanted to deepen out the outer V. You guys know that I love a beautiful deep outer V color and tone to a look, especially when I'm building, you know, a multi-colored look. And what I will say is this definitely deepens it up, but not to my true satisfaction. So let me just apply this, just slightly deepening out this whole outer V and lower lash line. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do next is just go into a tinge of Charms, and I'm actually gonna blend that with Slushy to make like a darker, deeper blue. But yeah, obviously, because we don't actually have it, this is the way. Sometimes what I did is I actually just used all Charm just to get some true depth there, and then I took Slushy to kind of cover that color but also blend it out. So I would just say mix up the colors the way you feel best and just deepen out that outer V to your satisfaction if you're recreating this look. And then what I like to do is just go back with all of the respective shades in this area just to make sure that each shade has its moment and none were kind of overpowered, especially because Charms is so much deeper than all of the other shades. Okay, so crease work is pretty much done. I love how I was able to create that depth with just a splash of that purple. Now I'm gonna use the Singe E04, and I'm gonna take the shade Sugar Plum, which is the like multi-dimensional shade. It looks more like a blue with just some different colored blue shimmers in there. And I'm just gonna apply this all over the lid. Okay, and then to finish up this look, I'm gonna just switch to the other side, and I am gonna go into the shade Delicious, which is this white to blue duochrome that they have in the palette, and that's gonna be my inner corner highlight. And this is the look. This is all I did. I'm just going to hop off camera really quickly. I'm gonna put on my liner, same black liner. My mascara right now is my Tower 28, and then I'm just gonna put on the same lashes that I've been wearing throughout this whole video, and then I will come back so you guys can see the full look, and then of course I will talk to you guys about my current thoughts when it comes to this specific palette. So just give me 1 second. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. So like I said, this is the finished look, and I will say I have enjoyed every last look that I have created with this palette. All of the looks have their own kind of special thing that I think made them beautiful and pretty, whether it was the more complex technical one that I did in my second look, or the third one that was just very, very colorful, or even today where, yeah, I'm sticking with the same color family, but the saturation of these colors is just really great. So what I will say is that if you have tried this brand previously and you've enjoyed the quality, this is the exact same quality in my opinion. I love the variety in textures between the shimmers and the mattes, and there are a variety of different shimmers. This is a very, very smooth metallic multi-chrome. Then you have some of these more shimmers that are more like they have a base color with like shimmery tones in it. And then there are some that are just straight up shimmery tones, like the frosting that I used in my second look. That was beautiful all over the lid, but it was pretty much just shimmers that could be brought together to create a single kind of color, opaquely or kind of loosely opaquely if you want. So I love the different textures. I love the fact that they have this white. I think that that can really be brought in depending on your skin tone for a variety of different reasons. And I like to use this type of color in my inner corner sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I think it's really, really nice. And for how opaque it is on my skin tone, I think no matter your skin tone, it's definitely going to work. The one thing that I wish, now playing with this palette, pretty much playing with every row, is that I wish there was another kind of deeper tone. Every time I felt like I really wanted to deepen out a look, I felt like I had to come to Charms, which is not a bad thing at all. I definitely think that that is the right tone or color, undertone, all of that to really deepen up all of the other shades. But I do kind of have a small wish that there was something else, one other color. Even the fact that they have like this one kind of tan orange shade and then this very unique undertoned orange, but that's it. I kind of wish I had an even deeper, richer orange to kind of make a full-on orange look, you know? So there are a couple of shades that I kind of wish were in this palette, and you know, it is what it is. I didn't create this palette. I think in general, this palette is beautiful and I'm so happy I picked it up. I definitely would give my stamp of approval if you want this to be your pastel palette in your collection. It is definitely a beautiful palette. There is not one shade that I felt like did not show up. Some of the shades, like I think it was the shade Zesty, it didn't show up as much as I would have loved, but it still showed up a whole lot better than some other shades in this kind of limey green pastel range that I've tried before. So I think overall, every shade in this palette will definitely show up on your skin tone if you're a person of color, which I love. They're all blendable, everything and anything in between. As I always say at this part of the video, I did not do the swatches to compare this palette to their first palette or the only other palette that I personally have in my collection yet, but I will be doing those today. And what I will say, let me actually get that palette. So the only other palette I have from this brand is the Muse palette. If you did not know, and if I did not say, I picked up both of these palettes with my own money. I'm not affiliated with this brand. These are all my opinions and perspective. I don't feel like they're any kind of duplicates. If I'm just looking at them at face value, I don't see any duplicates. I also do have natural lighting in front of me with a little bit of additional lighting up top in my ceiling light. I just don't see any duplicates. I love both of these color schemes. And yeah, it's just, you can see there are quite a different few options of deepener shades in this palette, which makes sense. I think they made this palette to be more like a fall inspired palette, which I completely understand. But even though I love me some bright pastel-y colors for the summer and the spring, I still like to deepen out my shades, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna get off of my high horse and my soapbox on that. I still think that this is a fantastic palette, highly recommend. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the looks. I really enjoyed the looks. I feel like this palette really invigorated my love of color again, because I was really getting into just the browns, but now I'm like, let's play a little bit more with some of these colorful palettes I got just chilling in my collection, because I'm sure I can create even more beautiful looks like these. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.